Mr. Chairman, COMED Coordinator, Mr. Lawale, the Director of the Institute of Continuing and Distance Education, University of Ghana, Professor Ohiniba Sechi, the General Secretary, Warner Center, Professor Alfred Opobo, Professor Kate Ado Adeku, President of the GJ and executives, zonal leaders for Southern Africa and Francophone countries, representatives of the Ghanaian media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. In 1957, I was only 3 years old. I'm happy today that I'm learning so much about that period up until 1999 and even beyond from Professor Opobo, who, as he indicated to you, I met in January this year, and he has since been a mentor. I must say, without not necessarily saying that I'm putting up a defense for the attitude of sectorial collaboration, I'm a minister for sectorial collaboration, but it has been a worry for some of us, especially in the information sector. If you don't have the support of your colleagues, your work is almost always in difficulty, jeopardy. So it is something that I've been pushing for. And I must say that it was not also by sheer coincidence that you mentioned this thing that it came back to my mind. Only last Friday, I presented a proposal to the Minister of Education for us to collaborate in embarking on an educational tour of all the institutions from the junior high school level to the tertiary level. The view is that we'll use persons who have made it in life without necessarily looking for government employment, but on their own. We will go into the schools and let them know about the existence of such opportunities. I have come to realize that what used to happen in my days at school in 1961 to 74, then onwards up until now, I'm still a student, was that before this time, there used to be counseling. And then they would tell you which areas to choose that you can be able to study and come out and be productive to yourself. These days, I hardly hear of such counseling sessions in schools. So we thought of a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and Information to go into the institutions and talk to our young ones, even before they come out. You look on the streets now, there are a lot of people roaming, youth roaming the streets just looking for government employment. Meanwhile, there are opportunities out there that they can exploit, but they don't know about them. We want to go out there and do it. So I'll take on board more of some of the things that you have just indicated and push it. It will be good that at least Cabral has a student who has left some legacy in the Ministry of Information. So I will work towards that. Mr. Chairman, permit me to first of all welcome all participants who are from various parts of Africa to this beautiful and peaceful country of ours. I consider it an honor to be in the midst of seasoned journalists and communication experts whose works have contributed immensely towards the development of democratic institutions and governance systems in the entire region of Africa. There is no doubt that it has been through your individual and collective efforts that African countries and governments have so far remained resolute in their quest of ensuring that democratic governance really succeeds on the continent. As communicators and journalists, you very well appreciate the role of the media towards the development of good governance, where peace, equity, freedom, and justice are crucial in securing the well-being of the people. I have no doubt that these have been the considerations that have guided your work over the years, and it is only fair to commend you for being part of this all-important workshop, which is an important forum for the further development of the skills and competencies of journalists across the African region. I believe that our deliberations will leave us more committed in our determined effort of ensuring that a just world is bequeathed to the people of this generation and those yet unborn. It is equally important to commend the efforts of the various international civil society organizations, and in particular, COMED and the African Development Bank, for continually seeking and supporting developmental programs and policies on the African continent. These attest to the fact that your organizations are people-centered and that you share in the broader dream of a developed and progressive Africa where the media plays an anchoring role in achieving this end. Mr. Chairman, it is gratifying to assert that the media has and continues to play crucial roles in consolidating Ghana's democratic gains. This is because the vibrant media platforms in Ghana serve as the conduit for reviewing government's performances in all key sectors of the economy. Furthermore, the Ghanaian media provides the lenses with which to dissect government programs and policies. Interestingly, the media today sets the agenda for the dispassionate discussion of issues that affect the well-being of the people. Moreover, the media in Ghana has transcended from merely reporting issues to that of providing policy alternatives, all of which enrich the crafting and implementation of programs and policies. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it must be stated that the Ghanaian media has become indispensable in the country's journey towards socio-economic advancement. The role of the media is even more prominent because it has become so accessible to the masses, and thus through the regular media debates, talk shows, and public interactions, the electorate have become part of the governance process, and thus responsible comments on programs and policies are given fair considerations by politicians and other government actors. This gives further impetus to the country's goal of ensuring that there is a cross-sectorial participation in the business of governance. Mr. Chairman, one cannot exhaust the importance of the media without exploring how the media integrates other communication platforms to advance the cause of both formal and informal education. The various socioeconomic programs carried out on our print and electronic media in the form of documentaries, features, and discussions go a long way at educating the masses. The sheer wide coverage nature of the television and the radio means that the media has become such a powerful medium with which to educate, inform, and entertain dispersed people within the shortest possible time. What is even more fascinating is how the internet, considered as information superhighway, can be used to address developmental challenges given its proper coordination and deployment. Today, in Ghana, educational instructions targeted at both junior and senior high students across the country are broadcast on Ghana television. This is indeed possible through the combined effect of the media and other communication platforms, which has virtually eroded spatial limitations. It is within this context that I salute COMED for instituting a training regime which seeks to equip journalists and build their capacities in such a way as to enable them play various roles directed at seeking the developmental needs of our people. Through these, journalists will become effective crusaders of development. Quite often, solutions to Africa's developmental challenges are prescribed by external bodies under the guise of the Bretton Woods institutions. The problem with this approach is that the success of such solutions can only be felt on paper, and that their impact on the ground becomes insignificant. To the extent that solutions to our problems are imported, then we cannot make any progress. That is why I find it laudable that this time around, Africans have by themselves developed their own toolkit for their own use. Indeed, I say kudos to the COMED working group that for the first time, such a toolkit has been developed by Africans, has become possible. I've always believed in the power of collective efforts, and that it is the coming together of journalists, academics, communication experts, and education specialists from all parts of Africa to confront the continent's challenges that we can be innovative and come by this comprehensive toolkit that we are developing for ourselves. If this level of collaboration continues, and if same effort is replicated in the areas of engineering, medicine, agriculture, science and technology, then I dare say that Africans will indeed make a headway in addressing the various socio-economic challenges that we face. I am sure that with this unity of purpose, the strands of poverty in a continent of abundant natural resources will be a thing of the past. Certainly, this economic paradox must change. Mr. Chairman, to the extent that the training within the spectrum of this toolkit will equip the skills of journalists and provide them deeper insights on how to report on issues such as education and other developmental policies, one can be sure that the progress is already in the making, since such efforts will allow for greater visibility of the programs and activities, whilst galvanizing public support for same. Members of civil society organizations will also benefit from the use of this toolkit, and the rippling effect will be phenomenal. Mr. Chairman, I have no doubt that this workshop and the intended training program by COMED will yield the necessary dividends. I say this with unwavering confidence, judging from the fact that COMED has over the past 36 months held a series of workshops throughout the African continent, including in Cotonou, Benin, Windhoek, Namibia, Grahamstown, South Africa, Gaborone, Botswana, and Rabat in Morocco. And the synergies drawn from such consultations can bring nothing but positive results. I hold the conviction also that the toolkit has undergone a series of trials and retesting after it was launched in July 2010 at Rose University in Grahamstown, South Africa, by our own former president, Mr. John Agyekum Kufuor. I am also elated that it is within the scope of this workshop that COMED begins the process of validating the toolkit for widespread acceptance and use in all training institutions on the African continent and beyond. I hope that all African training institutions in the areas of education, communication, media, and development will make optimal use of the device as a major instrument for the training of its people on developmental issues affecting the continent. It is my fervent hope that the process of validating the toolkit will roll out smoothly for the world to see and appreciate the African ingenuity. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it is not an act of accident that the validation of the toolkit begins in Ghana. This is because, as the beacon of hope and a trailblazer to Africa's democratization processes, the government of Ghana lends its unflinching support towards the promotion and use of the toolkit. I hope that the country's universities, we have been given that assurance already by Professor Oheneba-Sechi, that his institution will adopt this toolkit with all the capacity that it has. The Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, where we are holding this workshop, the University of Cape Coast, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, as well as other institutions of higher learning, will be among the first to fully embrace this toolkit. As a people and government concerned with media development, good governance, and socio-economic advancement of our people, I can say with certainty that this toolkit has earned government's blessings, and the results will soon be there for all to see. Mr. Chairman, as a government committed to securing the well-being of its people in particular and Africans in general, these are the projects to which we lend our total commitment and support. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I now have the singular honor and pleasure to declare this workshop formally open. Once again, I welcome all participants to Ghana. May your stay here be fruitful. Thank you, and God bless us all.